Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunita Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. I am so happy to be speaking to you on a Friday afternoon, and I hope that you're having a fabulous day so far. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the conditioning of our minds, and I think that a lot of people know that our minds have been conditioned, and people are clearest when they think about this in terms of workplaces and politics. And, we're conditioned to think a particular way or see things a particular way. And today I wanted to bring it back to ourselves and understand this process and how we got to this space too. So, the first thing I'd like to share is this quotation by Aldous Huxley. And this quotation says, "One believes things because one has been conditioned to believe them. One believes things because one has been conditioned to believe them." And this is interesting. So if we look at the state of the world, do we see that in politics, we see that, oh, you know what, this is happening and these people are not so good and we're good and we're going to block our borders from these people. So it could be because of concerns about vaccinations. It could be concerns about other illnesses that are being carried. It could be concerns about just religion. Just, of course, that's one of the largest things that happens between countries. It's often related to finances. So then we're conditioned to believe this, and then that's what we start judging things on. Now, if we look back at the process of what has led to this sort of problem solving that we do and how it's contributing to our style of living, I'd like to train us, or at least help guide you in terms of looking at things in terms of an art of living rather than a conditioned style of living. So if we look at any particular situation, we can look at it in a way that we've always looked at it, right? So that's what we've been conditioned for. And what have we been conditioned for since childhood? Since childhood, we got to school and we had a problem. The problem was, I don't know how to read. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to even walk properly sometimes at that age, right? And so this is the problem. And now I'm figuring out how to do it. So the child is starting to learn to walk. Another child is starting to learn how to use his hand for coloring something. Then eventually there's the writing of something and then the reading of things. And all of these things come slowly, and each of these steps is a problem at the time until it's solved, right? So, and we're used to looking outside of us that, oh, I can't do this problem. So we see this with arithmetic where, I see the problem and I think I've been taught about it, but I haven't really understood it. Until we understand it, we don't see that solution and we see, oh, okay, now I've got it because here it is. So you see how the problems that we've been trained in since childhood have been things that we could solve and see externally. So now when we're grown up, we see things as a problem, and we've already been conditioned about the problem can be solved by looking outside of us. So I have a problem in my workplace, I leave my workplace. I have a problem with a person, I don't speak to that person anymore. I have a problem with a relationship, I leave a relationship. And what do? I get into another relationship and I have a problem in that relationship. And why? These problems looking outside of ourselves doesn't create the solutions. So remember this whole idea of the same mind that has created a problem will not be the same space that you will find the solution. So if we're thinking with the same mind that got us out of any situation that's not comfortable, it's not the same mind that will create the solution. So that allows us to understand something about balancing ourselves. And if any of you have listened to things like Esther Hicks or lots of different speakers will talk about this. And again, I've got no affiliation with Esther Hicks, but I will tell you that she's been speaking about this for so many years. And there's so many speakers, lecturers, visualists, all sorts of wonderful guides, wonderful teachers that we can learn from, right? So Aldous Huxley was one of them, and these are the things that he's presenting. Now, all of this information can be learned now, right? So I can read it and it makes sense to me, but unless I practice it, it doesn't become my newly trained habit. So I thought I'd share another quotation with you, and this one's by Eckhart Tolle. And this quotation says, "The mind, conditioned as it is by the past, always seeks to recreate what it knows and is familiar with. Even if it is painful, at least it is familiar. The mind always adheres to the known. The unknown is dangerous because it has no control over it. Because it has no control over it. That's why the mind dislikes and ignores the present moment. Let me read that again because I had that stumble in between. I'm going to read it again. My quotation is right in front of me now. It says, the mind, conditioned as it is by the past, always seeks to recreate what it knows and is familiar with. Even if it is painful, at least it is familiar. The mind always adheres to the known. The unknown is dangerous because it has no control over it. That's why the mind dislikes and ignores the present moment. Now, this is a lot of information in one quotation here, but if you think about this, you'll notice that in some of my previous videos, I talk about what we know, and knowledge is based on something that we learned yesterday, right? So if I learned yesterday, this person didn't treat me well, and I'm not happy with them, I'm not going to speak with them. I learned that yesterday. Today, I see the same person. I'm going to use my knowledge of the past to interact with the person today. So that does not make me exist in this present moment. This present moment has lots of nuances, right? So a lot of times we're looking at a person and we're looking at how they're looking at us. We're looking at their body posture. We're listening to their language, listening to their tone of voice. So many things that we're taking in simultaneously. Yet the mind will be familiar with the past. I know this person, right? So I'm not really fully in this moment. When we're fully in this moment, we'll find that we come from a place of understanding, or we can come from a place of understanding. If I'm determined to be right because I was determined to be right yesterday, I'm going to be determined to be right today based on my knowledge of yesterday. It felt pretty good to feel right? So same sort of idea. This happens between individuals, in relationships, in families. It happens in groups and companies, and it happens in the world. And unless we start with ourselves, we don't change these patterns. So today, of course, I would encourage you to sit for 5 minutes after this video and see, how do you look at something? Is it based on all the information you knew from the past that you're applying to this moment? Or are you looking at this moment as fresh and new? Because when you're in that space, the responses or the answers arise to your mind. And this is, of course, the art of meditation too, right? This is also the art of living, as I'm going to say. I wanted to finish with a quotation by Dyer. And this quotation says, peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is, rather than as you think it should be. Okay, so once again, peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is, rather than as you think it should be. So in that, today, see if you can take things as they are and just work with that without any opinion, without any judgment, because the only time opinion and judgment come in is based on my knowledge from the past. And if we can remember this, we can be in this moment. Today, I would love for you to have many of these present moments. And of course, I wish that for all the days ahead for you. But find at least some moments where you're consciously aware of, this is how I'm going to handle this time. I'm going to be in this moment, and work from there. I wish you a fantastic day ahead, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.